Welcome back to A Fresh Story, the podcast where we have conversations about brave decisions to start over again. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Jenny, and we're so glad you're here today, brave one. Hey there, Liv.
Hey, hello. I always want to do Dak Shepard's hello. Welcome.
I'm realizing through the experience of podcasting with you, I don't call you your name a lot.
No, we don't.
It feels very uncomfortable to call you by your
Olivia.
name.
Nobody calls me Olivia anymore. I mean, they do, I guess, but.
And I used to call you a whole host of nicknames.
My mom calls me Livy. So.
Yeah.
I'm still Livy here.
I don't call you Liv. Yeah, I don't really call you anything. Just don't call you late for dinner.
Don't call me late for supper. Yep. Exactly. So anyway.
Oh no. So
you're welcome.
How are you?
You're welcome, audience, for that. I'm good. I have my Pellegrino here. I'm ready. Tomorrow it's almost Thanksgiving.
I'm drinking a tea. I think that you couldn't even really call what I have tea. Thomas would say it's oat milk water mixed with a little tea extract. It's very milky. But
speaking of tea, let's spill the tea on today's episode.
Oh, you're really good at segues.
Bad jokes all around.
So we had such a beautiful, wonderful, exciting, lightning bolt sort of conversation, inspiring conversation with Magalie René. She came to us through the channel of basically we put out the call and we got to meet this beautiful soul that Olivia and I were clear with her that we were not letting go of that relationship.
No, we were blown away by her story.
We just felt blown away by her story, by her presence, by her everything. Honestly, she's magical. And again, Olivia has mentioned this before. When people come to us, we let them know what the prompt is, and then we try not to do too much research for the very reason that we want to have an honest and true conversation and be finding out and becoming aware in those moments. So we just got to have sort of the most enlightening, beautiful conversation with Magalie René, and we hope you enjoy it. We can't wait to hear what you think about it. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, guest requests. You know where to find us. Magalie René, thank you so much for joining us today. Magalie René is a compassion and confidence expert, CEO of Workplace Catalyst, and a transformational coach. She activates compassion, authenticity, and impact in organizations, executives, and entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Why don't you take us back to the start of your Fresh Starts journey?
You know, I'm sure a lot of listeners feel the same, that there are different points in your life when you look back, right? In hindsight, there were these different moments in your life where you can just see the road sort of split and you had a decision to make. And that kind of keeps happening along the way. I'm sure it's not done, the journey isn't done with me yet. But I'd say there were a couple of different points. And so I'll take you through like the top three, and then I think it'll bring the story together. So like the first was, my parents are Haitian immigrants. So they came to America from Haiti and, created these amazing lives for my sister and I. And I'm a first generation Haitian American, right? A first generation American, and I identify as a Haitian American, blah, blah, blah. All that to say, my parents were very, very committed to us living very premeditated lives, not in any negative way, but they really saw us as like, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor. My dad really wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor.
Yeah.
Lawyer was a hard maybe. The doctor was a full on no. But at some point, I remember when I was choosing colleges, and I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be a doctor. I wasn't going to be a nurse in these acceptable roles, right? So I had to figure out a way, and I was a really great writer. Like that was my thing. And I had to figure out a way how I'm like stumbling over my words. I had to figure out a way to combine my interests and find something that was suitable or acceptable for my parents.
Right.
So,
right.
Taking you back to snapshot 1 is me deciding I'm looking through this book. This is going to date me, but this is like before.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking through these like huge manuals in my mom's job of like all the jobs you could have in the world were in these like tomes. So I look through and I find public relations and I read it and it's like, you get to write, you get to talk on the phone and pitch people.
Right.
But I could pitch it to my parents as
right.
I'm gonna have these clients and I'm going to speak in front of people and all this sort of thing. So I convinced them to let me go to college for communications and for public relations. But the truth of the matter was that was just like, it was a settling on my part because what I really wanted to do was be a writer, was be creative, like a fully creative person.
Now, did you know that was even like a possibility, like to be a writer as like a full-time job? Like,
I mean, yeah, I'm a big reader, so I know people made a living being writers, but it just didn't feel like something that would be approved of. It seemed high in the sky, for my parents and for the way that I saw the world at the time. And so that's snapshot 1. So I make that decision and I move forward. Fast forward years and years and years. Now more than a decade goes by. I'm in this field. I don't hate it.
Right.
But I don't love it either.
Right. Yep.
I'm actually pretty good at it. I've worked with some amazing clients, celebrities included, all the things. New York Fashion Week. I mean, financial, public, like all the things.
Right.
And I just realized, so my marriage was falling apart at the time. And I realized like, what am I doing? So that was the catalyst. I got divorced, and the moment that I got divorced, the first time, different podcast, different.
You can come back and talk about those if you want. We're happy to have those.
I love it. But so the second I got divorced, I realized, sometimes it takes one thing. So this is snapshot 2. Is the one thing in your life, the one area where you finally say no more. And you finally stand for yourself and your truth and what your heart desires and what you're worth. And it could be the smallest or biggest thing, but the one thing is like a domino that falls.
Yes.
And then everywhere else in your life, which is what happened to me, I just started to look around and see, it was like a spotlight was shining down on all the areas of my life where I was settling.
Yeah.
So
totally. Because once you start to choose yourself, and I found I'm divorced, right? And so when I did the same thing, right? When I went through my divorce and chose myself, it was like, oh wait, I'm not choosing myself in all these other areas. I'm settling in all these other areas of my life. So it's totally a domino effect to start saying no to things and start really like, wait, this is not the life I actually envisioned myself having. So also the idea that like,
once the light is, sorry.
No, I was gonna say once you kind of, for a better term, but like blow up, your world, right? And you're like, well, now everything's gone haywire. So let's just change everything, right? Like, let's just change it all. What were you going to say, Jenny?
Yeah. So I was going to say, so once the light starts shining in and you can see all of the places you've settled, what happens?
Then you have a choice to make. And I think listeners, if you're in this situation or have been, or if you ever find yourself in this situation, you will know that it's a fork in the road moment in your life where you decide, because the way I love to say, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Oftentimes, if it's showing up in one place, it's showing up in other places in these really subtle ways because it's your ego, right? Protecting you from something.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity for me, scary as it may have been, was to just, do I keep going down this road of blowing it all up? I love that. Like blow it up, And I did. I like quit a job where I had a very toxic boss at the time. I never quit a job and walked off a job ever in my life. I literally got up from the desk and walked. I said, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm never coming back. I did that once in my life. I don't advise that.
We all need our moment. We all need our one time to do that.
Listen, I walked to Starbucks and it was the best Frappuccino I had ever in my life.
Yep.
You know,
your freedom Frappuccino. Yeah.
Correct. I love it. FF, freedom Frappuccino. So that was the moment, right? And I left my job in PR. I decided I didn't work for 4 months. I had a great time in New York City. I was living in New York City at the time. I'm a native New Yorker. I had a great time in the city with my friends, doing all the things, just enjoying myself. And at some point, the money ran out.
Yeah.
And maybe I want to say, so I'm going to give 4 moments. So this is the third one where I walked into this temp agency because I just needed a job. And right there, I just got real. And I said, listen, just get me a job doing anything that does good for someone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow intuitively, I really knew I wanted to do something that was meaningful.
Yeah.
I had no idea where this was going to take me, but I just walked in there and I said, it has to be a company doing something good, something to impact other people.
Yeah.
I got a position. So that was a third point. I got a position at the Ford Foundation, which was the most incredible job that I've ever had. I worked with, thinkers, thought leaders, policymakers from around the world who were literally, they have funded everything outside of the medical field and science. They funded anything you can think of that is like philanthropic or nonprofit, from Sesame Street to God knows. They've done it all, right? And I worked with them for 5 years. And this is the fourth and final point. So the third one, to be clear, was get clear on what you need and who you are and what's at the core of your value system, and find a way to connect that to whatever you're going to do. That's like so key, because you just never know, but you will be headed in the right direction if you do that.
And that's following your intuition, right? That's following the whispers. I mean, you clearly walked into the temp agency and were like, I know what I need to do. Right. And owning that feeling, and then something fell right into your lap because you followed your intuition.
Yeah, you just got to follow your heart and your gut. And that sometimes we can get really clouded with all of the three-dimensional in this real world needs. Like, my bills need to be paid. This needs to happen. Yeah, but there's always a way to connect that to your core and your value system. And that will take you the furthest. So that was point 3. And the final one, which is really what catapulted all of this. And then I just kept repeating this. This is number 4. And I've repeated this over and over and over and over. So this is like the final one that I can think of to really highlight that like fresh starts journey is I said yes to something that I said yes to something I was completely unprepared for. When I say completely, I mean I was unprepared. I had a very big interest in interior design. I had been doing personal interior design and decorative jobs for myself, my sisters, my friends, my family, just because it was not something I did for money. I knew the 5 years, I'd given myself 5 years to be at the Ford Foundation because it wasn't a job that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It was like an administrative position. It wasn't really my thing, although I loved it there. And the 5 years was coming up and I got crystal clear. It was kind of like a come to Jesus moment. I was like crying and I was like, oh my God. It's very dramatic, y'all. I'm a Leo. I'm into astrology.
Me too.
Of course.
Me too. Yeah. That's just why I love the leopard print. I was like, yes, I understand.
You're like about it. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, the Leos out there know it was a dramatic moment, but I decided at that point, okay, I think I'm going to try something new. I probably will go back to school for this, or maybe I'll figure it out, but I want to do this somehow, some way for a living. The same week I made this decision. So I hadn't yet said, I hadn't determined what it was going to be, but I knew I was going to try my hand at this thing that I wanted to do. And the minute I decided that I would actually pursue it and start from scratch, which was the big fear. Oh my God, I've had decades doing this one thing. And now I'm going to start from nothing. That's crazy. But I said, I'm going to do that. I don't know how it's going to play out. That same week that I made that decision, I got a call from my sister and she goes, so my school is looking for someone to redesign the school. In my head, I go, that's insane. I can't redesign a school. I have absolutely zero training in interior design formally. I'm not redesigning a school. She goes, just come meet with the guy. Just come meet with him and just have a conversation. And that was the moment.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And I got my little portfolio. Literally, there was nothing but a white sheet of paper in my resume. And I was like, I'm going to put my suit on and look really professional.
I love it. You got to fake it till you make it.
I mean, I did and I didn't. So I said yes, because I was certainly like a fake at the time. But I walked in, had the conversation. He threw me a bunch of swatches. I could pick swatches in my sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this one, this one, this one. Do you want me to get on a call with you all on Monday? You and your I just used the skills I already had. It was so natural. I did it instantly, got on a call while I was at work in my lunch break. And I led this like call. I hung up the phone. We hung up the phone. He goes, I'm going to call you right back. We hung up with the vendor. He called me and he said, send me a proposal. Literally, that's how I got my first interior design client. I hired someone obviously to assist me. I got training in my lunch hour. I'd go to Starbucks and have this architectural student teach me AutoCAD. Like I made it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
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 You went and you said yes. You said yes. And knowing what you know, knowing what you brought to the table and any holes in the story, you found support. Right. I mean, that's what we have to do. That's such a great lesson. Cause I think a lot of people get very overwhelmed with, I don't know how to do that. How could I learn to do that? And it's like, you go online and you go to Craigslist and you say, is there somebody who can teach me AutoCAD? And you go find a VA and you have somebody support you. Like you just did it one step at a time. And I think that's just, it's so speaks to your confidence and the fact that you're a Leo and you're like, of course I can do that.
I'll find a way. I will find a way.
And the universe supported you, right? You said it, like you said, you got crystal clear and the universe was like, well, this is what she wants. We're going to give it to her. And you said yes, right? You could have said no, but you said yes.
Yeah. So interesting. Like, everything in us. So there's like a joke. I always botch this quote. One day I will get it 100% right, but not today. But Joseph Campbell has a quote. It's like the cave you fear to enter is where your treasure lies.
Yep.
So we're supposed to be irrationally afraid.
It's like so funny. I was just gonna say, I'm a classical studies person, and so Joseph Campbell is like my jam. And I was just, when you were speaking, I literally was about to say that was your call to action, right? That moment was your Joseph Campbell call to action moment, and you took that little message and you ran with it, and look how it changed your life. So what happened since then? Like, how has everything just catapulted?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's wild. Like it's too many stories to tell, but that's why I told this fourth point. And the fourth point is to say yes when you feel the call, and know that that you have the tools. You've got tools that you've learned from other unrelated experiences in your life. You have your brain, you've got your fingers, you've got a phone. Like get to dialing, get to calling people that might know more than you do, get to finding the resources. And that concept and that process, I've just repeated over and over. So I went from interior design, I built a business around that. It wasn't the most successful business, but I mean, I was barely making ends meet. But I had many clients and I was redesigning schools all over the Northeast. Right. And I did that. I left my position eventually and I did that. And then I moved to LA and I went to school at UCLA for interior architecture. And I was making that happen. And then here was another breadcrumb. I love that you said that earlier. You said, you followed the breadcrumbs. Another breadcrumb was that I felt really called to do a personal development workshop. I wanted to write a book. like we go back to what was the first thing that
writer, right?
At your core.
I wanted to write a book, and I was trying to write a book. I lied to you not. It's called Kid Smart Spaces. It is terribly edited, but it is on Amazon. So feel free.
We'll link it.
Yeah. It's called Creating a Classroom That Changes Lives. And I wanted
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to write a book to help teachers who couldn't afford my services to be able to adjust their classrooms in ways that really supported their students academically, emotionally, all the things. And I was trying to write this book, y'all, for, I don't know, a year. And do you want to guess? I'll let you guess. How much do you think I wrote of this book in a year of trying to write this book?
1 chapter.
Not even 4 paragraphs.
I was going to say 1 page.
You were going to say a page? Yeah, just about, no, half a page, 4 paragraphs.
Yeah.
That's how much I wrote in a year. And I realized I was stuck.
Yeah.
And I had to figure it out because I was something was sticking me and I just didn't get it. So I took a personal development. I went to a personal development course, which like blew my life open. It basically, like, when I say that, I mean it in a good way.
Yeah.
Helped me to see, I didn't know what a limiting belief was before then. I didn't know how we like stop ourselves subconsciously when we're afraid of success is as dangerous as being afraid of failure. It's even more so sometimes.
Yes, I was going to say that for me personally, it's more so scary to be successful than to be a failure. I know I'm not going to be a failure because I wouldn't let myself fail. But the success part for me is the scariest thing of all.
Oh,
yeah.
Who did you do the professional development course with?
I did it with a company called MITT.
Okay.
No, there's Landmark, there's MITT. There were like hubs all over the country. You can do it. There's one in New York that I'm not thinking of. It's like starts with Momentum, I think it's called. Listen, a lot of them are like a little LA culty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can go off the deep end if you do these things and you let yourself go, whatever. But if you're a balanced person and you've really know how to take what works and leave the rest, there's a lot of value, and it literally changed my whole life. Again, following the breadcrumbs. I went to this thing and I found out about it at a book seminar. I was trying to figure out how to write a book, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this thing. I'm going to learn how to write a book. But I found out what I was really afraid of. I found out I had anger issues. I found out I was enraged about certain things that I'd never dealt with, all the things. And I also realized I've been hedging my whole life. What I really want to do is be a speaker and an author. Point blank, period. I'm supposed to be seen, visible, on screen, sharing my knowledge, changing people's lives. And I have been hedging since I was little. Like, maybe I'm just going to dip my toe in this way. I'm going to maybe. No. And
I feel like it resonates so much. I think that this actually, I think it resonates with both Olivia and I, but it feels closer to Olivia's story. Like this idea that because Olivia's a writer too. And this idea that like, you don't really know where that's supposed to go as a kid. And so then you're like, well, what do I do with it? And you're trying to figure it out. And, you know, we see you and we get you. We very much understand you as people. You're like-minded people for sure.
So what happened after that leadership development course? You finished the book.
I finished the book after the course.
Okay.
I published the book, self-published the book after the course.
Amazing.
Good gosh, so many things happened. I'm thinking so many things, but I published the book. While I was publishing the book, I had actually started coaching because I fell in love with the entire process, right? And like the coaching element of it, I started to coach and I found that I was exceedingly good at that. I never, sometimes you literally don't know what you're going to be like amazing at. And it comes so easily that we underestimate that as we could make money. Because it's too easy. We need to struggle.
Right.
It doesn't feel like work. So why would it be work?
How could I get paid to just be happy doing something that I love? No way. But I tested the theory and I published the book. And at the same time, I launched this like beta program. Also, PS, it was at my lowest point in life, and I was never homeless because ultimately I always had some home to go to, but I was actually houseless at the time that I developed my coaching program. This was so crazy how I found myself in this situation, but I had left my second husband and I was being very just like, my life felt like it was falling apart, and I made the decision to keep moving forward anyways.
Right. It was falling together. It was all falling together.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
That was like a mic drop.
No, I mean, it has to, you have to crack the egg. Like that's the thing. Otherwise you have no idea. And like you said, we are very anti-hustle here at Fresh Starts. And for us, we want to wake up every day and love what we do. Right. And so sometimes it's like, well, we're culturally told you're supposed to work really hard and hustle and
hate your job and be
but that doesn't always have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. And I love how you put that, like everything was falling together. So now I can see that. At the time I was like, what the hell am I doing? My life is a mess. But I also at the same time knew to just do the one thing. I had an inspiration, and all my stuff was in my car, and the other half of my stuff was in my girlfriend's garage, and my dog was with me. And I went into the Starbucks and wrote a 14-page program. Like my first program is called Career View Mirror, and it was a coaching program that took people through 9 weeks of transition. Like, what do you want to do? What is your purpose? I will show you, excuse me, using all of my tools, my marketing tools, my branding tools, my public relations tools, how I transitioned and how I was able to do this, not once, but several times.
Yeah.
I put it into a program and I launched a beta program.
And how quickly did that come out of you?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. Oh, no one's ever asked me that. It came out of me in probably 3.5 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like 14 pages. And when I say it was robust, it's like I had everything. Like, what are you going to learn? What are the questions we need to go through in this section? Like, I put it all together, 14 pages. It was like, it poured out of me, and it only took 4 hours, which is so nuts. But when you think about it, it took a lifetime, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And your soul
took
was
everything that you'd ever done, every this ability, every skill, every thought, and it was just waiting. It was like forming and gestating, and then it just birthed out of you.
Yeah. So that was what took me into the iteration that I have now, which is Magalie René International, LLC.
I love it. Love it.
Of course it's my name because I'm a Leo. But that's like the LLC. But my business, the one side, the business to business portion of our company is called Workplace Catalyst. And we've worked with companies around the globe delivering compassionate leadership programs. So,
which we love.
Yeah. And foundationally, of course, there's diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is related, right? Is intertwined in there. It's a very change management approach. People that are from corporate that are listening get it.
Oh, yeah.
So we do a lot of like workplace trainings for well-being and belonging and compassionate leadership. That's the one side. So
That's
I'll
so
tell
interesting.
You the other side
yeah,
is.
No, I'm fascinated because look at your journey. You actually you did the foundational physical aspect of these workplaces. And then now you're working with people to train them on the emotional, social, psychological aspect. Right. So you have this holistic approach to everything because you quite literally help pick the swatches that people are going to be interacting with, in the physical sense. And, you're stepping into that temp agency saying, I want to help people. And then moving forward, and then writing the book, helping children feel comfortable in the workplace setting, essentially their workplace setting, right? And now you've like catapulted yourself to the ethereal part of everything, right? The emotional, the social, the psychological, but it all comes together for you. And all of it was the stepping stones. I just think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I always say now looking back, I can see this web. It's a web. It's like a spider web. And I see how it's all connected. But at the time when you're in the snapshot of it in that moment where you're trying to figure out, well, how do I merge this and get my parents to say yes to the college I want to go to? Like, you don't see how this is all going to end up somewhere when you're like houseless in the car with the dog. And you're like, how the hell did my life just crumble and fall apart? But you have this call to take action on something, and you walk into the Starbucks and you do it. You don't see how it's all going to come together. I also did a facilitator's training. Like, I'm actually trained up in what I do. It wasn't on accident.
Right.
And like, but it felt like it was accidental and it felt haphazard. But that's why I just want listeners to know that in your fresh start journey, depending on where you are on your path, you're not going to understand how it's related. And that's why you have to tune in to what your heart and soul is telling you. You've got to quiet your mind and either meditate or work, whatever it is for you that will get you still, so you can hear those breadcrumbs falling.
The whispers. The whispers. Yeah. So what's the other half of the company?
So the other half of the company, I get torn between which one I feel more passionate about. I think right now they're both equal. I'm equally passionate about them. But the other half of the company is the confidence on demand portion of the company. So that's like the business to consumer. So that's where we have the Career View Mirror program that's launching soon. I'm actually taking that entire program. We've had 36 people come through it. I have one of my favorite humans on the planet was a catering manager who worked 80 hours a week, miserable when he came to me. And literally he is planning programs for the likes of Bezos, and he's doing like the most amazing producing. He's an event producer now. He's producing events and programs around the world, like stunning things, like Aston Martin races down Scotland, like, whoa. And so people have come through this program and done some amazing things. And we just did so that's the second half. I'm kind of getting long-winded. The second half is business to consumer. And it's really supporting entrepreneurs, supporting leaders, supporting people in corporate, wherever you are. If you have a calling, a desire, a purpose, something you want to pursue, that you just are unsure how to get yourself from point A to point Z, and in there somewhere you're afraid, afraid you won't make enough money, afraid you're not good enough, afraid of all these things. This program really walks you through it with the mindset, also the how-to in regards to the marketing and the branding and the actual doing. Right. And the other pieces, which are, to me, that's the soul. That's like your heart and soul. So it's like a holistic approach to transitions and transitioning in your life. And we're putting out other programs. We have the actual Confidence on Demand program, which will probably come out at the end of January. And that'll be a live program with me where I take people through a confidence journey. I did it once before 3 years ago. And it's been really incredible to watch we had only 13 people in it. It was very small, but to watch what they created in that time, it's like, I could cry. Like one of them, first generation, first person in her family, and also first generation American, who's gone to grad school. And she was so afraid for years. She was avoiding grad school, and she applied while she was in. That was what we held her accountable to. She applied, and not only did she get in, she got a fellowship. She's like she's like a brilliant person. Someone else decided to travel to Madrid. She wanted to move and live her life in a foreign country, and she did. Another person launched a podcast and writes all about masculine and feminine. So just people have done some amazing things, and I love doing that program live, and I'm very excited about that portion. But I also speak, and I do all the things, and my dream is still quite alive. I just haven't carved out time to write the book. I have like 4 books planned and outlines.
Yeah.
Girl, I know I'm looking
at a lot.
I get it. I very much get it. In fact, my kids.
We are so excited to to read those books
I
when
know.
they come out.
I'm
Like
laughing.
I am so excited.
I'm laughing because my kids last night were like, "Mommy, weren't you writing a novel?" I'm like, I am writing a novel. It's in the, I was like, it's in the works. No, there's so many things you said that are just stunningly beautiful. One of my takeaways from what you're saying, and I've seen this because I have people that I have done, they are amazing leaders and I've worked with them on confidence and stuff like that. The support system that people need to really enact these life changes is everything. And I think, we're so, yes, I love the online world and my backgrounds in social media and marketing. But when it comes to it, like, we need to find our community that will support us through these big life changes and believe in us 100%. And that's what you're providing for people. And I've seen magic happen, and I'm sure that you would say the same thing when you're like, no, you go for it. Like, we have you, we got your back. And I love that you're doing that with this confidence and all of these empowering things, because sometimes people just need that support system to like get to the next level.
I mean, I think we always need a support system. You're 100% right, because part of in school design, part of how a student excels is the environment.
Yeah.
When you look at these gorgeously well-funded schools, they look beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They feel good to walk into. The environment envelops a person and actually creates a feeling and creates a way of being, right? It's a characteristic almost. So if you look around at your environment and you find that you're attached or tethered to people who don't support you, who speak into the fears you already have in your own mind,
Yeah.
who deplete you, who tell you that's crazy, who do you think you are, and
Right.
all these kinds of things. I'm not going to say listen, I'm an advocate. Cut people out of your life if you need to.
Yeah.
Also, I know now, as a compassionate leadership expert, I understand there's a beautiful, happy medium, right? But in the beginning, if you're in a fragile state and you know your calling is calling you and you are going into a depression, that's where I was. I was going into a depression because I wasn't living the life I was supposed to be living. I had to make really tough calls around the kinds of relationships I allowed to stay in my life, and how and where and in what way.
Yeah.
So create that environment, to your point. Find your people. Start with one person.
Yep.
And then stop talking to other people about the thing that's so close to your heart and so tender. Talk only to the person who is going to fan that flame. You got to be disciplined about that. So
Yes. I love that. So what is next for you? Like, you have big things inside of you. I can see it. You're like a world changing person. I can see it. You have you 100%. You are a light. You are a true light. Like, and I can see that people, obviously you love what you're doing now. Do you feel like what you're doing now is soul aligned to what you should be doing? But also, second part of that question, there's bigger things for you, right? In terms of, like, I can see you are a dreamer. So what is out there? What's next?
I'm first of all, I just deeply receive that, because like we just talked about fanning the flames, and even in this conversation, I just feel like y'all are fanning my flames.
Well, we can see it. Your vibes are amazing.
100%. We're gonna keep fanning your flames too. I have no doubt about that.
And you're holding a lot of space for people to be able to do this. Is such good. This is just so beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And what am I up to next? So I am doing my level best. So this is, these are pro tips I'm about to hit you with. But a pro tip is, like, you talked about hustle. And I believe that work is required if you are going to really go after what you want. It is not all pie in the sky, easy, I'm going to rest all day. That said, I'm going to try and tie this together. That said, it is, for me now, the practice. I went from, at the beginning, heavy comparison, heavy overdoing it, physically working action, like staying up all night, doing because I wanted it to work so bad and I didn't know what to do. So I was just doing it all. all the time.
Yeah.
And I did that to the point of taxing my adrenals and creating autoimmune issues in my body because I went so hard towards my dream.
Yeah.
So what I practice now, to your point and to answer the question, is being present, is like having the vision and feeling into the vision, which I do all the time when I journal, because journaling is big for me, and meditating. That journaling piece, that meditating piece, huge for me around holding the vision. So I see myself on stages around the world. I see myself changing people's lives. You know, Gabby Bernstein, I had a whole story about how she's some California girl and all the things when I was like, had just moved from New York. And then my friends went to see her and I was like, FOMO. So I was like, I'm coming. You guys can't all go do something. So I went to see her. And I remember her on stage. She had people get up. I couldn't believe the confidence. She had people get up and line up down each aisle in front of a mic, and each person literally like had to be 50 people lined up on each side, would come to the mic, share their issue, and she would coach them live from a stage. That blew my mind and was the reason why I did my facilitation program, because I was like, I have to learn how to do that, right? And so I have these big picture things. I probably will end up hosting, I host a show called The C Word right now. And it's all about this season. Season 1 was about compassionate leadership in the workplace. Next season is going to be on confidence. But I see myself hosting a show, probably being on national television, like, you know, best-selling books. Like all of this do I see for myself without a doubt.
Yeah.
And agreed. By the way, I completely agree with you on that point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's I'm obvious. Glad. Like it's so clear that that's going to happen. Yeah.
But so like, and the practice for me so that I can keep myself from the hustle and the burnout and love myself and treat myself well so I can give from the overflow to the work and to the people and to the world is to stay present. Yeah. So right now, I'm where I am. I want to do that well. I want to do it sustainably. Right. I want to enjoy it. And I'm holding the vision for those bigger picture next things. And in the short term, I just recorded 7 very short videos. They ended up being about supporting people who have been laid off. I don't know how this all came to be. I was just going to do content and it just came through. And so we're putting that out next, and we will probably roll that into offering Career View Mirror, the program, as something that people can take digitally so that they can learn. And maybe there'll be some coaching for me. We haven't decided how we're going to do it, but we're actually going to put the Career View Mirror out, which is amazing. And that's P.S. Awesome. I recorded that 4 years ago and didn't know how or when it was going to be used. And things just fall together.
They do. They fall
really
together.
Do.
But I mean, you will be on those stages. Like you truly, I can see it. And
we'll buy tickets. Like we'll be there.
Yeah,
no doubt.
100%.
2 clients already.
We'll be there. We'll be there. I mean, you truly, because you are heart led. We're all about being heart led, right? You lead with your heart, and your ego is not in this, right? You were not, your ego was not holding you back from asking to, I mean, even just going to a temp agency after having a successful job in PR, that's a step down. Like, culturally, right? But you were like, nope, I just need to make some money so that I could get to this, like bridge this gap to the next part of my life. That means that you are not an egotistical person. You are completely leading with your intuition and your heart. When people do that, they are the ones that are going to change the world. And I have no doubt that you are going to be somebody that is going to impact millions and millions of people and take them by the hand and say, we got this, because that is who you are. And that's why you're here. And you obviously have had so much love infused in you by the people around you that you are excited to put that love into other people.
Yeah. Oh, I received that. It's so, and it's so true, because you like took the words. It's like we're thinking the same thoughts. Like it's like the words out of my mouth. When you said you've had good people around you and you've had so much love infused. I look around at every single person that's in my life right now. They literally pour into me and support me. And because I've been so guided, like I know I can't wait to guide other people and anyone who needs it, because I haven't done this by myself.
Right.
Like, no way. And just side note, let's not pretend like this leopard print is not a little bit of ego, because I am a Leo after all.
But it's good ego. It's the good.
But it's beautiful ego. It's beautiful, and we can't, us Leos, we have to, there's always ego in it, but you're not doing all of this just to be on stage. You're doing it because you know that what you have to say when you're on stage is necessary for people to hear.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're just so excited for you. And thank you for coming on and sharing your story. It is truly like a beautiful one. I actually feel like there's going to be like movies made about you. And like, you really like, I think that you are, it's funny. I heard one of my friends the other day, she said there's two different types of founders. There's economic founders and there's philosophical founders. And you are a philosophical founder, right? You are here to change the world, and you're not going to give up until you have accomplished your mission. And I just think that is so beautiful. And we're so honored to have you in our orbit and to have met you. And I just thank you for being here.
You're so awesome. Thank you. I'm like, yes, say it. Words are spells, right? Words are spells.
Yes. Words are spells. Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Thank you so much for having me. I just, I love these kinds of conversations. It's 9:20 a.m. here where I'm on the West Coast. And this was just the best way to start my day.
Thank you for listening to today's story. We're always here, and we're proud of you. Until next time, brave one.
A Fresh Story is brought to you by Fresh Starts Registry, the first and only platform for everything you need to start again. You can read the show notes and learn more about today's episode at freshstartsregistry.com/podcast.